Greetings everyone. We're going to go over an article from gamingbible.com, and this goes into the future of the Metal Gear Solid franchise, something that I've been covering on the channel for a while now. And let's dive right into this article. There are a few nuggets of information. There's not a whole lot and nothing's really revealed, but it does tell us sort of the shape of things to come if all goes well. So it looks like it's going to be an exciting time for fans of Konami's legendary tactical espionage Metal Gear series. At least that's what may have been teased. Not only do we have a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater on the way this year, but recently Konami teased the prospect of other remakes. That's quite interesting. I've been hankering and suggesting and proposing in a fun way remakes of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, the old NES games, but this suggests that there could be other remakes in the works. So let's continue. The Metal Gear series began in 1987 for the NES and has since received many sequels in the generations that follow. We know that the MGS3 remake, Metal Gear Solid Delta, is arriving in 2024. But what else? Well, we'll likely get a Master Collection Volume 2, which could include MGS4 Guns of the Patriots. It's the fourth numbered entry in the main line, and will be the first time it's released outside of the PlayStation 3 since it initially launched in 2008. That's interesting. That's going to be really good. The first time people will be able to play that game outside of the PS3. I know that was a massive point of contention when that game came out, and hopefully it does let people that weren't able to play at the time, it lets them see what an awesome game that was. I'm a huge fan of MGS4 Guns of the Patriots, so if we could get more things like that, that would be awesome. And hopefully they have talked before, not in this article, but they've talked about rectifying some of the problems with the first Master Collection. So let's see if they follow through with that. That would be absolutely amazing. During a recent Konami live stream on YouTube dubbed the Metal Gear Production Hotline, I recommend you check that out as well, current series producer and the promotional manager spoke of what the future may hold. In a Q&A session, the duo stated that a release date for Metal Gear Solid The Master Collection 2 is yet to be decided. When asked if Konami plans on creating new games, they said that the current focus is on Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. Depending on the success of that remake, Konami may consider more remakes or even a new game series, but no further details were provided, which leads us to speculate. So that's the most important part of this article, and it goes to show what a lot of us have been saying. Everything hinges on the success of Metal Gear Solid Delta. This is a really important moment for the Metal Gear Solid franchise. If Delta does really well, then I think it's pretty certain that they'll probably go the safe route and do another remake, because as I've said before, it's much safer to take something like Metal Gear, which has such a massively complex story. It's much safer to take something like that and remake it, touch up the graphics, touch up the gameplay, without really having to put in all that legwork of creating and world building. It's much easier to do that than it is to create something completely new. And when it comes to the world of Metal Gear, I can totally see why they would be hesitant to go in that direction. It makes me a little bit cautious, a little bit nervous, because obviously if Delta completely bombs, and I don't think it will, but yeah, it could sort of spell doom. It will certainly put the brakes on this Metal Gear renaissance that we've got going on at the moment. But let's keep our fingers crossed. And the article continues. The news has given fans hope that we may finally get the remake of the original Metal Gear Solid that we've been dreaming of. Not to ignore the 2004 remake on the GameCube, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Yet, could the original Metal Gear Solid of the PS1 be the next remake? That's interesting that they do another remake of Metal Gear Solid. And you'll be noticing now that there's no talk in this article of remakes of Metal Gear or Metal Gear 2. It seems like the individual writing this article sees the absolute pot of gold in the series as the original Metal Gear Solid. And I know a lot of people feel like that. And it would be absolutely amazing to see all that rendered beautifully on something like the Fox engine, and I know we're using the Unreal Engine for Metal Gear Solid Delta. The problem that I've got with that, and that I've said before, when you take a game like Metal Gear Solid and transfer it to the next generation, it basically becomes quite difficult to maintain the scope of the game. What do I mean by that? Well, look at the size of Shadow Moses, and let's take the Africa section in Metal Gear Solid, the Phantom Pain. I'd say that the Africa section with the Nova Braga airport and then the camps surrounding it, and then I think that leads sort of into the jungled areas where the mansion, where you go and get Code Talker. I think that is probably even bigger than the entirety of Shadow Moses, which means that if you put a game like Metal Gear Solid on a next generation console, you're going to be able to realistically walk from one end of the map to the other in 10 or 15 minutes. And it just doesn't pack the same punch. Obviously, they will block areas off and bring in the key card system. So if you look at like Resident Evil 2, you were dealing with next generation mechanics, but you were able to block off the map by utilizing the key cards. And that I could kind of see that working. But I think we've been absolutely spoiled with the Phantom Pain. It completely changed the game for what we expect from a Metal Gear game, and the freedom and open world aspect of that. To introduce something like a key card system that would hamper your progress, I think for a few fans, and I include myself in that, it would be a little bit of a step back. It would be jarring, and that might be a problem, although we are looking at like nostalgia and things like that, and it's very easy to sort of get swept up in the nostalgia, so maybe it won't be a problem. But I think going back and doing a very safe game like Metal Gear Solid would be a little bit of a cop-out for me. Now, you might have a different opinion, and do let me know in the comments if it's something you'd like to see. Obviously, I'd like to see that, but maybe it could be like a bonus section that's added into something else, because I do think with next generation mechanics, it would be a very quick affair. Anyway, let's moving on. So what whatever happens to the series following the upcoming remake, it's an exciting time to be a fan of the series. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater will be released this year on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. So, yes, that is basically the end of the article. It does go on, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there is a section in there on possibilities for doing a new game, and it was mentioned in that live stream that based on the success of Delta, they may venture into a completely new game. And I'm not talking remakes or anything like that. It would be a new venture. So what would they do there? The article speculates, well, they could do something where you visit a section of the timeline. For example, The Phantom Pain. It's a completely new story. It's about a new character, Venom Snake. No spoilers, obviously, but it's a new section of the timeline with new characters. It's a part of Metal Gear lore that we didn't know about, and there is scope to do that. You could easily do a story set between two games that already exist. And then the article also suggests they could do something post Revengeance. Remember, Revengeance is considered to be canon. So a game set after that where they would either use Raiden to take the franchise forward. I know there are people out there that feel some kind of way about that. Personally, that wouldn't be my preferred method with this franchise. It then says the other option is to make another clone. And that's something that I could be down for. If you've seen my sort of action figure fan fiction series, you'd know that I did something similar. I remade all the Les Enfants Terribles clones, and in my sort of mad headcanon. So I could see them doing that. They could do another clone of Snake. Maybe it'd be fun if he sort of has his mind wiped a little bit and he's completely ignorant to his origins, and then as the game goes on he starts to figure out that things aren't quite right, figure out that he doesn't really have a lot of memories of his past, and then it can slowly emerge that he's a clone and he has to deal with the mental burden of that knowledge. So that could be something pretty cool, very sci-fi, very Metal Gear-esque. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that article with you, and I think it's very speculative. Obviously, it doesn't give us much in the way of news and new stuff to talk about, other than those Konami employees saying that basically everything hinges on the success of Metal Gear Solid Delta. And that's the important thing to take away here, guys. This game, this remake, has to do well in order for our favourite franchise to survive. So what do you think? Do you have faith in Metal Gear Solid Delta? Do you have faith that if it does do well, they could pull off a completely new Metal Gear game? Or do you think that that's just too much for Konami without Kojima taking the reins? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. I'll keep trying to find these little nuggets of information because they are fun to talk about. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next one.